Hello, my name is Stephanie Howe, and I'm going to go over how to create and play a Clue game. So, Clue is just like the game you played growing up, or maybe you even still play it as an adult. The board game where you try to solve mysteries and you kind of work collaboratively with other people. So, with the Clue game in the educational setting, students work in pairs and they go around the classroom and solve math equations, they read passages and answer questions about the passage. They answer science questions, social studies questions. Really, it can go towards anything. All you need to do is have questions, and they can be short answer or multiple choice questions. So students go around, they solve the problem, they put it into the Google form, and based on their answer, they get to cross off some type of evidence that was found by them getting the correct answer. So I was like the staff, a lot of my teachers always use a hook. So what is the backstory? Maybe there was a murder. Maybe someone stole candy. I have this one teacher that she has an inside joke with our class about squirrels. And so she created this whole Clue game about someone stealing these squirrels away from her backyard. And she created this huge story, and the students were hooked automatically. So I love Clue because it motivates students to learn. It's a game, it's fun, it's upbeat, and they're motivated to learn because they want to know who solved the mystery. You get quick feedback. The students get that immediate feedback if they got the answer correct or wrong in the short answer version of the game. In the multiple choice version of the game, there's a little bit of suspension, so they kind of have to wait to figure out if they got the answers correct or wrong. It turns students from, do I have to do this, to I really want to do this and I want to learn and I want to know who solved the mystery. It turns that fear into fun. They're no longer afraid to just plug things in the computer. It kind of makes it fun and energetic for them. And then it gives students a challenge and another reason to learn. They're going around trying to solve this mystery because their answers matter. So there's, again, two types of questions. There's the short answer type, or you can do multiple choice. My favorite is multiple choice, but a lot of my math teachers use the short answer, and a lot of my ELA teachers use the multiple choice, just because of the types of questions they already have. Don't make this harder on yourself. Use what you already have. And so you come up with a list of people who did it, where they did it, and what they did it with. And then all you need is task cards. Every teacher, I feel like, has task cards laying around. So instead of just using task cards in a station, you can now turn them into a Clue game. You just need your task cards. They could be, again, short answer, multiple choice, and you just make it work. So I'm going to go ahead and show you one of the games that I have created. I created this for teachers to show them what Clue looks like. And then I'll show you what a couple of them look like short answers. So this one is a multiple choice example. And again, you can use any type of questions. So here is the Clue game. I went ahead and wrote my backstory here. And we just pretty much says, like, we were stunned to find out that a staff member has stolen some candy. And then the teachers have to figure out who actually stole the candy. So if you're working with blended learning, it's kind of nice to put a timer in here. 10 minutes, this is your station for the day, or this is what's on your choice board or checklist. And you have 10 minutes to go solve these problems. Once your time's up, you can stop. If you're doing this large group, you could put it on the board. It depends on how you are teaching. I like to put the timer here because I think it keeps students on task. Another tip, always put less time on your timer. If students need more time, give them that Oprah Winfrey moment and just say, yay, you get an extra 5 minutes of the time today. Don't give them more time. They're going to wait until the last minute to get going. Give them less time and then add more later. So students will put their name here. And then you would write Clue 1. Now, Clue 1 is not in the Google form. You could add it to the Google form, but I like to get students up and moving. That is just my preference. I like to see students move a little bit instead of sitting there for 90 minutes all day. So I put Clue 1, and then here is what they would cross off. So here are the questions. Again, I put the story here. Have them write their name. And then in this box, they provide their workspace. So if they're doing a math problem, I might have made this a little bit bigger, the box. But for this game, they're only writing their answers down. And I let students work however they want to work. So if they want to do one answer, plug it in the Google form, they can. Or I might tell them, you need to find all answers before putting them in the Google form. It just depends on the class and what's going on that day. So I've done both, and it works out pretty well either way. It just depends on your preference and your students. And then down here, I go ahead and I print this front to back. Who is the thief? And I list the people that did it. So we have our superintendent, elementary principal, middle school principal, a high school principal, a junior high principal, and then places in our school that are common, and then methods. So I made up my own methods, like used a dog, maybe they snuck in at night, how did they steal this candy, just come up with ideas. And then I let the kids either cross it off or they can put a X, check, whatever they prefer here. It doesn't bother me what they choose. And that's all you need for the students. So you just print this off front and back to them. And then this is for me. I went ahead, I didn't have task cards for this game. You can, again, make up your own questions. You could use task cards. So I made up my own, and I was about Google. So clue 1, how do you create a new folder? A, click new. B, click drive left. C, click drive upper center. Or D, trash. So based on this answer, you would go back to the Google form, and I would put the answers A. So the candy was not stolen by the tiny robot. So then students would cross off tiny robot. It is not this answer. So now they know it can be wore an invisible suit, used a dog, snuck in at night, the candy grabber, or they hired a professional candy stealer. It is not tiny robot. And what their goal is to get one staff member left, one place left, and one thing left to know their answers. Now, let's say I had the wrong answer and I picked B. Miss Stickle was working out in the gym. They get to cross off Miss Stickle and the gym. Now, some students will probably have 2 places left in their staff because it won't work out, or they'll cross off another incorrect answer. So then they usually come to me and go, there's not one left. Well, there is going to be one person. So then they have to use their critical thinking to kind of go through and figure out where did I mess up? So it's kind of a nice recheck game for them because they do get that immediate feedback. Some students will just guess and turn it in that way. And then, so it's up to you and your kind of students. So this one's not as immediate as the short answer one. But once they get all their answers in, so I'm just going to go ahead and put in my guesses. They'll hit next. On this page, I like to add photos just because it adds a little bit more of that visual. And then they pick who did they think that did it. It was the superintendent. So they click Dr. Briggs. And then they would decide where it happened. We're going to say the playground. And then they pick method. So whatever was left on this column, and this column is their final answer, and they hit submit. Now this is up to you if you want the students to view the score right away, or if you want to turn that off and go over it as a class. This isn't the game I use, but it's something. I put this on an envelope, like one of those huge envelopes, like in Clue, you know how they have these little envelopes. So I had this huge one. And then I put these things inside of it just for photos, because students and photos. And when I was a classroom teacher, I used Seesaw. And so this would give me an opportunity to say, here was our winning teams, and put cute little photos for parents to see. I know parents love that. And then I put who did it, what they did it with, and where they did it. So this one was the different Clue game, but it works the same. And I just made it in a Google slide. And the students love the big envelope, and it's a lot of fun to do it that way. However, if you don't want to do it that way, you can also tell them right in their Google form. One thing with the Google form, though, if you do turn this on, students will tell other classes who did it, what they did it, and where they did it with. And your game's kind of ruined if you know that. So be careful of how you decide to do that. So to set this up, I just have my game. I turned it into a quiz. I put the name spot, the story, the 10-minute timer, and then I put clue 1, and I made this a quiz. So I put answer key, and I select the correct answer. You can decide if you want to use points or not. I just made them 1 point. And then you would go to question 2. Your first one does take a while to create. However, I have that template ready for you, so it shouldn't take you that long. If you're just changing names, it usually goes pretty fast. You can change the order, whatever you need to do to make it best for you. And then changing the photos also on this one. So I just added all that in. On this one, I just added a photo with the person. So that is the multiple choice game. Now the short answer one looks a little bit different. So I'm going to put my name in. Then I have the students picking the date. Again, my story is right up here. I have a timer. This time I made it 30 minutes because it was a lot of questions, 16 questions. And then I made the students get up, take their computer, and go to the place to solve the question. That way there was movement. You could put the question right into the Google form. I like the movement, so that's why I added that. So here's the task cards that were used for this game. They were just, again, cut out, hung around the room. You could put them right in the Google form. However, I like students to move. So for question 1, if they put 42, it's going to say try again. Students know right away I made an error. I need to work with my partner to figure out where I made the error. I tell students they can't come to me unless they have their work. So once they get that figured out, it stays white. Now there's a couple options. You can make them do all 16 questions, but students really like that immediate feedback. So knowing that they got it right is a plus, but now they want to know who did it. So what I have done for this one is, and here's the squirrel one. So that teacher, she has her husband right in here. A nasty neighbor may have taken the squirrels. Is you take these little cards and you cut them up. Okay, you cut these up and then you cut these up. And this one was a fun one because we kind of got evil, and we put different kind of roadblocks in the way. There was no evidence in one of the envelopes. Students would get mad at us because we didn't provide any evidence in there. And then we kind of used context clues just to see if some of the students could pick it up or if they wanted that extra confidence to know if they did it wrong. And here's that teacher's video to hook the students. So you need to create these cards for the short answer version. And then we use these label and we cut these out and we put them right on an envelope, one of those small envelopes. And we just cut them out, glue them on. And then you can put 1 to 3 of these in each envelope, or 5, however many questions you have and how much evidence you have. Some cards might have 1, other cards might have 3, another card might have 2. It just depends on how many questions there are for the game. And so once you have your labels out and everything's ready, the students are ready to play. So again, you cut the task cards out and students go ahead and solve. So question 1, they got it right. They're going to go to their envelope. They open up the envelope that says clue 1. So they would open up this envelope. Behind that envelope is the dog. So they know to cross off on their list the dog. So they get the same list as the other clue game, and they just cross it off. And then again, once they solve all these, it's going to take them to the next. And they need to decide who did it, where they did it, and what they did it with. So this is just a little bit different. I like that one because it is that immediate feedback. Students know right away, okay, it's red, I need to fix it. If you do not type this in correctly, math, it's really easy. But for ELA, it's a little bit difficult because if they misspelled a word, they're going to get it wrong. Even though they might have the correct word, they need to spell it correctly to get the right answer. So you just pick short answer. These 3 little dots have response validation, and you want to make sure that's checked. I always do text contains, and then you type in your number. Again, if you're doing multi-digit numbers, like 1,000, make sure you tell the students there's no commas or there is commas. Because if they don't type that comma in, they're going to get it wrong. So I tell students, okay, this game has commas if there's 1,000, or 10,000. You need to make sure you have this comma. What I really like about this feature is this try again. You could put try again. You could put a video link. If students are struggling with division, why not put a video link in there that shows them how to solve it in another example that's similar to the question that they have? You could put come see me. You can write tons of different messages right here. It's so powerful, and it can be a tool for students to use and a scaffold for students. So very similar. I love the short answer version. However, if you do not type the answer incorrectly, it's going to say they get it wrong. So double check your answers before you send this out to teachers. I've had teachers that have done it, and then we send it out to students, and students get really frustrated because the answers aren't working, and it's because of a error that the teacher or myself has made, and you can quickly go in and change it, but then the students will have to write down all their answers and refresh the page. So that's kind of why we made that working page that I showed you before. So that way they can write down all of their steps, and then if they do have to refresh for any reason, all they have to do is type in their answer. So for that one, I might tell students, okay, go solve them all first and then put them in. However, they like that instant feedback, so it's up to you and how you do that. And again, the 10 minutes, make sure you have that timer and you do less time and add more time at the end. And then if you have any students with disabilities, I have created videos like with the questions in them. So that way those students, if they can't get up and move as easily, they can watch it right from their computer screen, or you could read the questions to them in a video and then have the video play for them. And then all you need is task cards and a timer, and then response validation. And you can find more resources at this link. And then another just fun hook that we've done before is putting our faces on the Clue players, and the kids just think it's hilarious. Also, another fun thing, teachers made them, and then towards the end of the year, students wanted to make them. So we have a lot of student-created Clue games. They really loved creating these different mysteries. Some of them got really good and came up with like all these creative places in the community. And then other students would play their games. So it's not just for teachers to create, it's also for students. And you can also use it for professional development to teach whatever you're trying to teach in a unique way. I hope this was helpful. If you guys need anything or need any templates, let me know. Thanks.